Hi, in this video I will demonstrate how PolyPrime can be used to provide a convenient workflow for evaluating efficiency of field development. PolyPrime is used to build diagnostic metrics and create a web report. It is built into Polygon and you can find it in the plugin tab. First of all, let's open a project. This particular one has 5 wells. The second thing, we need to ensure that the data for these wells is not empty. So you'll need to have production rate data and pressure data, for example, formation pressures or bottom hole pressure measurements. When we have all this data, one more thing that we need to fill in is the PVT data. In my case, PVT was given as constants, although you can use different correlations. Next, we need to provide relative permeability data. Especially, we need to define the endpoints. The actual curve looks like what I'm showing on the screen. I have set the fluid type to oil, gas, and water, so the calculations will adjust for a 3-phase fluid. So that is all the data that is required to build diagnostic metrics in Polygon. And we can now run the PolyPrime by navigating to the plugin tab found in the top right corner. The plugin requires an Excel input file that contains all the settings that we cannot input directly from Polygon. So let's open a sample input file and go through which settings you can add it. Here you need to input information on oil and gas reserves and also information on estimated ultimate recovery factor. Also, you need to specify the current oil and gas prices and the ones that were in the beginning of the development. This information will be used for calculating the cash value of oil and gas reserves. In the second tab, we can specify the recovery methods, types of lifting mechanism used, and current formation pressure. Moving on to the next tab, we can find the reservoir properties, depth, volumes, thicknesses, as well as initial formation pressure and temperature, porosity, permeability, and so on. Next are the surface facilities. This data is purely for information that will be visible in certain tables and will be available in the final report. It doesn't matter if we fill them or not. In any way, they will not be used during calculation. Moving on to the FDP tab, here we can specify target properties if you have them. If you fill it in, then it will be possible to compare the final results with the plan. Next comes the full field tab. Here you can set the data for a group of wells. You can set the plot series data to be shown by year, by quarter, or month. Also, here we can set the sweep efficiency. You can set the stages of development, and they will be color-coded on the plot accordingly. If we scroll down to the right, we can provide additional information, such as results of water flood micromodeling. This information will be used at certain metrics, primarily on the water flood metrics. Next, you can find the separate tabs for each well. Each well contains the open hole information, and here you can also set the information for each production and injection stage. The intervention table to the right will contain all activities with according dates that were performed to that well. Table to the right shows all types of surveillance that was performed, and the next table will have the information on the results of micromodeling, just like we did for the group of wells. Next, you may upload images such as maps or cross-sections, and they will be available in the final report under the same name. So, this is all that you need to know about the input file. Now, let's go back to Polygon, and now that we have selected that input file and we are happy with the settings, we can press Run and wait for it to do the calculations. We can find the current status of the calculations in the console tab, and it shows that the calculation is currently running, and I will resume after the calculation is finished. So it took a few minutes to do the calculations, and as you see, there is a notification from Polygon that the calculation is now complete, and we can download the zip file. After we extract the zip file, we will see an HTML file called index, and if we open it with any browser, we will see a web page open up. So this report contains all data that was calculated using PolyPrime. So if I click now on the reserve summary, you can see the exact same tables as we had in Excel file, like production summary, oil, gas, water, and injection. This means that here you can find all the key values that can help the reservoir engineer to understand the current state of development. If we go down, we can find the fluid summary, like relative permeability data, rock summary, and if you have specified information on surface facilities or target indicators, that will also be available here. Next, we have an extensive section called Full Field, which contains all metrics that are shared by those wells, called group metrics. These include the production history, oil depletion, pressure history, water-oil ratio, gas-oil ratio, and production statistics. In the next section, you can find the separate metrics for each well, like production history, and if you have specified interventions earlier in Excel table, you can now see them on the plot as black dots, which are numbered accordingly, and you can refer to the table to see which one it is in more detail. All surveillance is shown in brown triangles, which you can also find in the table above. So by looking at the plot, we can tell which activity caused corresponding changes in production, and so on. It has information about formation pressure, oil depletion, water flood metrics, gas-oil ratio, IPRs, productivity index analysis, and so on. So in essence, it has all essential metrics for each well. The next section has all the maps that were provided by the user in the input file along with the cross sections, which are found in the next tab. This means that we now have an interactive report that has all the useful metrics in one place, making it convenient to perform further analysis. So that's it for this video. Follow us on our official page to know about future updates. Goodbye.